Hi, my name is Grayson, and I'm with Communications Across the Curriculum at LSU. In this video, I'm going to help you get started with designing a visual. This video focuses on the basics of organizing a visual, and the tips I'm going to share are relevant for any major and type of visual and are meant to serve as foundational knowledge for everyone. First, we're going to get started with the rhetorical triangle, as it's a vital tool to help guide and ground us when starting to make a visual. When making anything where you are communicating information to others, the first questions that should come to mind are: does the content you're sharing accurately convey the message you're trying to get across? Who are you making this message for? And who are you as a communicator? The next question you should ask yourself is, why even make a visual? How will a visual help you get your message across? What's so special about a visual that a form of writing or a speech can't do? Even if you have to make a visual for class, I think it's important to ask yourself this question because it can start you down the right path of thinking. So let's answer that question. Why make a visual? Because they are made to draw attention to important elements and help explain a message or make it more clear. They are used to draw attention to specific parts of your message that you want people to notice more or you would like to clarify. In most visuals, you don't want to use a lot of words unless you have to. You're making a visual to draw attention to specific elements, and no one wants to read an essay when looking at a graph or a presentation. We see this in this Coke ad, for example. Coke, as the speaker, wants to connect with Dublin residents as the potential audience, so in the image, they communicate that Coke as a company understands Dublin as a city and is a part of that city. What you understand from this graphic is that Dublin runs on Coke, so it presumably gets more people to buy Coke in Dublin. Another example of a visual are science posters like this one, which use visuals to draw attention to data. In the case of a science poster, you need words for people to understand your message, but adding visuals helps people understand your main idea, data trends, and results. The first major topic of creating anything visually oriented is the organization or the layout of your information. For a visual, it's very important because if it's not organized well, then your audience will be confused as to what your message is or even where to look first. In many ways, the first few seconds of looking at a visual can determine if your message is read or skipped over, as people will naturally move their eyes towards certain parts of the poster or presentation that you may not want them to look at. A well organized poster will carry the audience through your message from beginning to end in the manner you deem, while a poorly organized visual will have the audience starting around, not sure what they should be looking at first or what's even important. A basic method to thinking about when first starting to lay everything out is that people tend to read from left to right, top to bottom, due to the way we read text in most languages. This doesn't hold true for everyone, but it's a good foundational concept to start with. This tool can be used as a guide for ordering your information from most important to least important. However, you order your visual, though, and there are many ways to order that information you're using, there should be a clear hierarchy of information. What might help you to start thinking about the placement is to consider your page to be a grid sheet where there are multiple ways to connect information together using a visual reference, like being in the same column or row. With visuals, everything you use is important to the overall message, but you want the information to be represented in a way that when someone glances at the visual, they understand pretty quickly what the main idea is. This is like the thesis of your graphic. All other information on the visual is important, but it's supporting that main idea or message. Going deeper on different methods of organization is the method of repetition. This can help information stand out or it can connect information together. Repetition can also help the audience understand your visual more because you're using the same language across the board. Repeating spacing, colors, images, and words can help to create a clear logic that organizes your information in a way that the audience can understand. This graphic is representing the idea that if you keep repeating the same color or repeat the same information in the same way every time in your visual, then the audience will understand that the color orange is important in that the left squares are related to that one block of information in the bottom left. Another way to use repetition is to break the repetition or language you have made for your visual, which will make that one element stand out even more. Mapping is related to repetition as it's using certain colors and graphics to represent different information. This is used a lot in graphs when putting keys on the side to show someone what every bar or line represents. In this image, the dials of the instrument control the corresponding section. So you know if you were to manipulate the blue dial, a change would be expected in the blue region. We also see similar mapping with graphs of data or maps of locations. In this graphic of the periodic table, they're using color to distinguish between the different types of elements like purple for a noble gas and yellow for metals, using the key at the bottom of the image. Overall, the purpose of mapping is to relate information and create an overall organization for your visual to help the audience understand what your message is. So, moving on to another way to organize your information is the idea of negative space, or sometimes called white space, which is also closely tied to repetition. A good example of negative space is this poster, as the first element you look at is the elephant. This is because there is a good amount of white space surrounding the text and the elephant. It is clear that what you as the audience are supposed to look at. This is a very creative way to use negative space, as they also have the outline of Africa within the elephant to show what they are talking about. But more often than not, negative space is used to separate information into different columns or groups that can be identified by the audience. And this is seen in this poster, which talks about the benefits of fruit. This poster uses the background color teal as white space to then overlay other information on top of it. The different fruits are easy to distinguish from one another because there is ample room for each circle of information to breathe and be read as separate snippets of information. I hope this video has helped you when starting to make a visual and clear up any confusion you have about the beginning process when laying everything out. But if you still have questions or need assistance, then you can go to cxc.lsu.edu to make an appointment with one of our visual communication mentors. We have multiple locations across LSU, so check out the website for the other resources we have. If equipment is what you need, though, such as microphones or cameras, then you can come by and check that out as well.